Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, and this is your Cannabis Business Podcast. Today, we are here live at the World Trade Center for a multi-state operator panel. Today, my guests include Wes Abney, Justin Ruiz, Jerry Derevyanny, and Kacey Morrissey. Wes is the mad genius behind the Northwest Leaf, a cannabis magazine prioritizing the patient's voice. Co-founded in Seattle in 2010, they celebrated their 100th issue last October, and they'll celebrate their 9th anniversary next month in June. Northwest Leaf, Oregon Leaf, and Alaska Leaf are monthly magazines that cover cannabis from every angle. The magazine has been a leader in providing high-quality journalism, photography, and a web hub for both the recreational and medicinal marijuana community. In July of 2014, Wes expanded with the Oregon Leaf, and in 2016 launched Alaska Leaf, then recently expanded to the East Coast with the Maryland Leaf. Wes is also the co-host of the Leaf Life podcast, as well as a cannabis producer-processor in Washington, Alaska, Oregon, and Nevada, with access to over 1,000-store distribution channel, making cannabis-infused edibles called Leafchews and a medical version called Leafchews. Next up is Justin Ruiz, owner of Hypeherbally Cannabis Shop. Justin has been heavily involved in the cannabis space since 1999 when he got involved with HempFest, first as a fellow protester, and then he began supporting the event through vending in 2007. In 2011, Justin established Hypeherbally, a medical marijuana dispensary, recently reopened as a 21 and over licensed cannabis rec shop. Justin is proud to have helped pioneer the Washington cannabis industry as we know it today, and has been busy creating a lifestyle brand around Hypeherbally, named #1 name in Washington State by the Seattle Times. Last year, Justin and Wes launched a shuttle tour service together called Higher Than a Space Shuttle. Justin, thanks for coming on board. From New York commercial litigator to general counsel of the largest recreational company in Washington State, Jerry Derevyanny is the executive vice president of corporate development and director of Cannex Capital Group. Cannex was founded in 2017 and is managed by a team of experienced industry and capital markets experts who are committed to aggressive, cost-effective growth. Cannex facilitates growth through cash flow from operations, strategic acquisitions, partnerships, and by leveraging the expertise of its experienced operational team. Cannex provides a range of comprehensive and flexible growth options for licensed cannabis cultivators, processors, and or rec shops domestically and internationally, including providing turnkey real estate with operational infrastructure as well as long-term advisory and consulting services. Cannex is a publicly traded company listed on the Canadian Securities Exchange under the symbol CNNX. And remotely, today we have Kacey Morrissey with us. She's the Director of Industry Analytics at New Frontier Data. Educated as an engineer with experience in institutional asset management, Morrissey brings a unique blend of technical analytical abilities, intuitive market awareness, and a high-level understanding of institutional risk management to the cannabis industry. Since joining New Frontier Data in 2015, she's developed economic models to produce some of the most accurate and widely quoted industry market projections in the legal cannabis industry, as well as produce the first preliminary analysis of global cannabis demand. Prior to joining New Frontier, Morrissey was a senior investment analyst at the Hershey Trust Company, where she was responsible for public and private equity investment, due diligence, and analysis for the Trust's $12 billion investment portfolio. Today's multi-state operator panel is hosted at the World Trade Center. The World Trade Center in Tacoma grows trade and investment by providing direct access to the largest business network in the world with 300 offices in 99 countries. The World Trade Center in Tacoma is the lone trade service for the Pacific Northwest. The seminars, award ceremonies, and conferences can generate contacts and contracts. Trade research can clarify opportunities, and their matchmaking can turn those opportunities into trade. The e-commerce export store has partnered with Alibaba and is translated into 18 languages with about 40,000 unique visitors every month, giving your product an opportunity to be seen globally. It's ideal to leverage other people's money, but not at the risk of, a kneecapper, somebody coming in with hard money lending with ridiculous, you're going to lose a limb, essentially. It's not really worth it. So that's definitely a strategy. Jerry, have you seen any excessive amounts of equity giving or hard money lending? What have you seen?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen anybody that's going to break kneecaps, but definitely some pretty aggressive sharky terms where we're kind of over the years I've seen steps backwards in terms of how aggressive the terms are. But it's still pretty common. I mean, even friends and family money that I've seen in opportunities that we've diligenced has been, 18% sometimes, which is expensive, but it's not, it's less than a lot of credit cards, right? So it's not as terrible as it used to be. Yeah, definitely has gotten better though, and now with the public market, it's kind of orders of magnitude easier.
Quick question: is pre-money valuation worth a penny? In other words, if you aren't making sales and you think you have an awesome name and a brand, is it really worth anything if you aren't generating revenue?
If a tree falls in the forest, can anyone hear it? No. It depends. It really depends. I mean, some teams you come in and you see they haven't done a dime in sales, but it's something new. It's much more of a venture style investment. I've seen that in tech before, like even companies like in cannabis related tech that didn't generate a ton of dollars, but they were on a really good trajectory. I think, yeah, you would pay for that. It just makes a lot of sense in terms of what you're paying for the future value that you think you're going to get. But there unfortunately have been also on the other end, guys that put together a nice slide deck and think that it's worth 20 mil.
And I think for me, the important characterization there is if you plan to produce, process, or even retail marijuana without having sold any dollar value of that, your plans are not really worth anything. If you're holding a key piece of real estate, or you're holding a key function, or perhaps a key piece of technology, you might have something that hasn't done any revenue or created any sales that it could be potentially worth something. I think the only real exception in finding value in companies that haven't yet sold anything in cannabis is either in the tech segment of it, and there's a lot of tech that's coming to cannabis. There's so much data from the production, processing, retail side to just the consumer side, or in the branding. One of the things that Justin and I are working on with our space shuttle project is to create a brand and create a model for a company that will have value before it actually makes a single sale per se. But that is all grounded in branding and in the capability of rolling out licensing agreements and generating revenue passively without massive capital investments. And
I stopped giving out my ideas, by the way. I don't mention any of them anymore. I got tons of ideas though.
Justin's the idea man. And the reason I say this is any brand, if you have a way to put it into a market, it will be valuable. If you have the brand and you have the packaging, you have the pipelines to funnel products through and create verticals, you will be worth money. But to just simply say, I have a plan to grow weed, and if you fund me, it's going to be worth X amount of dollars. I look at companies like that entirely as liabilities. How much are you asking for? That's your liability. How do you plan to overcome that and even make a single dollar in profit? And a lot of times these companies can't answer it. And I deal with companies like that all the time, $5, $10, $20 million in, that aren't making money now and don't have the potential to really make money in the future. And that's a scary place to be.
That's a good transition, Jerry, because it is a normal market, or it's becoming normalized. Investors seem to be.
When things get ugly, it's time to go to me.
Yes, they're pretty major. The investors are looking at everything through the traditional investment lens. They're looking at management, business plans, and valuations. You can look at traditional valuation analysis for a discounted cash flow, accretion dilution analysis for earnings per share. Their comparative analysis through EBITDA, public comps if available through acquisition comparables, transaction analysis, and eventually leverage buyouts. But we just saw PAX come up with an arbitrary valuation of $420 million, and it even said the institutional investors were novice, or not novice. They didn't have experience in the industry, so it's new institutional investors coming in. So I'm curious, have you seen improper valuations deteriorate credibility yet with investors, potentially causing shareholder lawsuits? The reason why I ask is because if you create an arbitrary number of $420 million, in the eventuality that share or that stock price goes down, you will have people sue you. It's just a matter of time. So I'm curious if it's too early for that because so many speculators. Have you seen improper valuations create shareholder potential lawsuits?
I'm not sure that improper valuation is the right term, right? Because they do their best. if you think about it, the investment bankers, right? They're charged with kind of two things: trying to make sure that the other side makes money, a little bit of money, but mainly they're charged with getting maximum value out of what they're selling, which is the equity of the company. So they're trying to get the best price. So to the extent that they're able to sell, and without going past what securities laws allows, and not lie to people, but present an honest picture, give people the risk, but say, hey, listen, we think there's a ton of upside here. You guys come in and buy it at $420 million offering at whatever the valuation was. I think they've probably done their jobs in a lot of ways, as long as they've done a good job diligencing and they have not gone out over their skis. Now, if that goes down, yeah, you're gonna have lawsuits. People lose enough money, you're gonna have a lawsuit regardless of you could have been the most honest human being on earth. Just might get a lawsuit. I think on a broader note, yeah, we've definitely seen the valuations in the public market start to come down. One of the biggest things that you'll read in a lot of the equity analysts that look at the space, they kind of expect a Canada-US rebalancing. In that the Canadian multiples they think are going to come down a little bit, and the U.S. multiples are probably going to tick up a little bit as things move forward. But yeah, I think there is a danger of kind of credibility to the space. But on the other hand, I don't really know. I have to think that the PAX people, who I think run a pretty good business from everything I've heard, I haven't looked at their funds, but they're obviously well known, Washington, California, et cetera. I have to think that they think that there's upside in their business, right? And that they're going to continue to execute.
I don't know, Jerry. Time will tell. Yeah. And with that, we're out of time. I want to thank my guests for coming on. Jerry with Cannex Capital Group and Forefront. Thank you. I want to thank Wes Abney of the Northwest Leaf and Leafchews. Justin, I appreciate you coming out. He's with Hypeherbally. Also, him and Wes joined up for the Higher Than a Space Shuttle. And Kacey with New Frontier Data, I appreciate you being on the line with us today.
Thanks so much.
All right, talk to you later. Bye.
Bye, Casey.
So with that, we're going to roll this one up. I'm Josh Kincaid. This is a Talking Hedge. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't. And I'm out.